First question comes from Francis on Instagram. For carbonating beer in the keg with sugar, do you need headspace like you do in a bottle or no? The answer is yes. And let's dig into a little bit why. This question applies both on the pro side and the home side. I do know there are plenty of folks on the pro side that do keg carbonation or keg conditioning of their beers. I think it's interesting, unique. Obviously, we can do this in the bottle as well, and this is clearly a pro side practice and a home side practice. And if you know me, you know I'm a little bit more nuts and bolts kind of guy. I might not be the guy that can break down all the science, but let's have kind of plain talk conversation about this. So when we're talking about keg or bottle conditioning a beer, and we're talking about adding sugar back to it, okay? Functionally, what we're doing is we're taking a beer that is not fully carbonated, putting it into a package. That beer has enough yeast in solution, or you are adding a carbonating yeast, a conditioning yeast to that package, and a specified amount of sugar to be consumed again by that yeast that is in solution. We know that when that yeast in solution is going to consume the now available sugar that has been added, it will re-ferment it, it will create CO2, and it will push that CO2 gas up into the headspace of the bottle and or keg. It's my understanding that this is a vital portion of that process. It helps to I've read some different things on this. I've read some stuff that says it helps guarantee consistency. To me, I still feel like the primary function of conditioning a beer like that, natural carbonation, comes down to the amount of fermentable sugar that is left in the wort. The amount you're adding to it is where you're ultimately going to end up going, allowing for the idea that the yeast is going to be able to consume and ferment out that sugar. But it's that fermentation that creates the additional pressure in that bottle or in that keg. And what is happening is as that headspace has more and more pressure go into it, it's forcing that liquid to take on CO2 so it can ultimately strike equilibrium between the headspace and the liquid. That's big picture what's going on here. So you do want to have that headspace. How much you need, you can kind of see in bottles. You usually see like an inch and a half at the top of those bottles for things like that. On the keg side, I know that there's already some headspace built into those kegs. Those, if you fill a keg all the way to the top with liquid coming out the gas post of your filling valve, fill it all the way up, no foam, all liquid. You're putting more than the 15.5 gallons into that half barrel or whatever I think it's 15, maybe it's 15.5 and change, but I think it's 15.5 for a half barrel. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much, that's pretty much the deal there. You do want that headspace. I do think there's some great resources on this stuff on the Milk the Funk wiki. So check it out. And there might be some, I know there's some more science out there on this too. Again, that's not what comes most natively to me. But yeah, that's kind of my take on it. I do think you want to be using a calculator for priming sugar, X, Y, and Z. If you are going to be, make sure that, your beer is fully fermented before you're adding more, because you can come into a situation where you're adding too much. little things like that. But that's pretty much my take on that, Francis. I hope that helps.